Hi, I never know when to start these things. I can watch the countdown, kind of. Actually, it's on a white background, so I have to tell. This is a waste of time. Um, I'm doing something today that I swore I would never do. I enjoy looking and watching other people do these kinds of posts where they rank a particular band and their albums. But I always said that I would never. I just, why? I like watching people. This is my favorite and this is my least favorite, and why they are without going into too much detail. But I just never thought why would I do that? So I've been watching some people and they've been posting some things, and it's. I figure if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it with a band that I know quite well, and it's going to be Beatles. Countdown from their catalog from the worst to their best. That's wrong. That is very wrong. It's not from their worst to their best. I like pretty much everything they did for different reasons, and I'm not going to order it from their worst to their best. It's going to be what I like least to what I like best. The album that I fondly go to, and even that, I could make an excuse for 2 or 3 reasons why the number one would be different. I'm sorry. I thought I had my hair under control, but what little I have is deciding to go out of control. Sorry. So anyway, getting into this. Here we go. At number 14, number 14, yeah, this guy. I always think of this album fondly, but it was never one that I listened to a whole lot. Please Please Me just wasn't on my radar for the longest time. It's got some great songs on it. But it also has some material that really dates it and keeps it dated. So it's kind of not that enjoyable for me. I just find myself sort of ignoring it. And a lot of people are going to disagree. Again, this is what I personally like to listen to and find myself listening to less and more or less. And I go to this album less than I do some of the others. So, and actually this was close to not being number 14. This was close to being number 13. So, it's really hard. It's great songs, but I don't know. There's some songs on it that just date it, and where other albums have kind of come along with history and time, that one hasn't. Number 13 would be this guy, right here. But this has got, it's got some great songs on it. Got some songs I'm burned out of, like Let It Be. Although I think it's the single version that has the really cool guitar solo, or is that on the album? I can't remember which. One of them has the really good guitar solo on it, and one of them just sort of has this plodding kind of guitar solo, which I don't care for as much. Anyway, try as they might, even here with Phil Spector, they just weren't able to make an album that I remember this fondly. I remember hearing it when it came out. So nostalgia-wise, it rates right up there. But a very loud thing is about to go by, and it's going by. So shutting the door might have been a good idea. So it just, I don't, I got props. Nice try, Paul. Isn't Paul behind this? I enjoy this. This is good. This is fun to listen to. Like the extra stuff. It's kind of neat. But even Glenn Johns couldn't come up with a satisfactory track lineup for the Beatles back in the day. I mean, he tried 3 times, I think, and just couldn't do it. Not to their satisfaction. But the Phil Spector version with all the orchestration, even when it came out, I didn't care for it that much. Nostalgically, though, it does, in my mind, ring a bell. It does hit a note, metaphorically, with me, and so I do. I like the album. It's just not a go-to album for me. After that comes good old Yellow Submarine. Obvious reasons why. Oh, look, it's on yellow vinyl from Australia. And great songs on side A. Two new, relatively new, not heard before songs from George. And then one from John and one from Paul. And the rest are extras. This could have been an EP, 45 EP, 7-inch EP. But it's kind of cool that they shared the album with George Martin. That's actually kind of neat. And back when I first heard this, I was movie orchestration, not interested. But as I've gotten older, I actually kind of like listening to that. And it's kind of cool that they put both of those things together. Would have been nice if they'd said the Beatles, Yellow Submarine, with George Martin. Well, it says nothing is real, but they could have included George Martin on the cover because half of the album is George Martin's score, right? That's George Martin's score. I'm not making that up. I'm like, no, produced by George Martin. Well, yeah, Martin, except for there's one. I guess there's some stuff. Oh well, Yellow's. There's something that says Lennon McCartney arranged by Martin. So anyway, it's basically George Martin. And when I was a kid, when I first started listening to this, that side was a disappointment, but now it's not so much. So, and yeah, I don't know why they decided to, hey, let's put a big thing of white here and chop off their heads. No idea. Anyway, see, that brings us to, well, that was 14, and that was 13. This is number 12. Number 11, a lot of people don't like this. These are coming from various, this is a Japanese red vinyl mono from like early 80s. So it's I don't know, I don't think it's the gatefold. It's not a gatefold. And I surprisingly, I don't have like some kind of early UK pressing of this. I remember holding one in my hand once, but it was just too banged up to spend the money on, and so I have it in other ways. But so the fourth album that they released, and everybody makes the same observations that they are looking tired because they have been through the mill by the time this album came out, and a lot of covers on this album. A couple of songs that I didn't used to like, like Mr. Moonlight. I kind of like now, especially Mr. Moonlight, because it's so off the wall, kind of odd. It's well done, and it's interesting to hear John sing that song almost operatically. But and at the same time, it's got some great songs. It's got some classic songs on here. So I kind of go to this one. It's actually, sometimes it's a little bit farther up in my list than it is right here, but it all depends on how I'm listening to it and how I'm feeling about it. Because sometimes, to me, it's like an album that I haven't heard because I don't listen to it that much. So putting it on, listening to it is like, oh, okay. But I'm used to the American versions. So it got split up between Beatles 65 and Beatles 6. And those were strange. Beatles 65, I think, was better than Beatles 6. Beatles 65 is one where they're holding the umbrellas and all that. Anyway, so this was number, did I say 11? So number 10, Help. Help it's got some great songs on it. Soundtrack album. But this is one of those transitional albums where they're starting to head towards, well, the next album was Rubber Soul. So it's sort of going out of the extreme Beatlemania that followed Beatles for Sale. And again, here's the UK version. Most of these are UK versions. Again, it's a collection of songs and it's interesting to hear them, but I just, there's just some songs that are just, again, it's almost like they're still in that mood they were in from Beatles for Sale. There's just some songs that just don't hit right. I still like it, but it's got some classic songs on it, obviously. But I just don't. It's still not the ones that I go, something I think of to play right off the bat. Unless I haven't heard it in a while, then it's like, let's put that on, because there's some songs I haven't heard in a while. So that's number 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. That was number 9, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. Here's number 9. Okay. So, number 9 is this guy. Yeah. This is number 9. That's why I'm saying 14 at the beginning of this thing, because this is number 9 for me. This collects all of the Beatlemania kind of music. It has a horrible cover, which I've grown to love. It is an album that I have ignored for a long time, and now I've suddenly made it my life's work to collect as many of them as I can. This was released all around the world. You can get a copy of this from Uruguay. It was released in Italy, in just Australia, everywhere. It was released in Canada, it was released in Japan. Was not released in the U.S. And at the end of 1966, there was no new Beatles product to put out for the Christmas market. So, with nothing new to put out, they cobbled this together, collection of hits, Beatles oldies but goldies, or what do they call it? Collection of Beatles oldies. I just added an extra few words there. And so this is an official Beatles record. But if you go into box sets, especially the new box sets, you won't find it anywhere. It's sort of been supplanted by number ones, the one album, what do we call it? The number ones, the hits. There's. But that doesn't discount it from being part of their catalog, and it did come out. It's an official EMI record, and this is it this? This is a one box copy I have. I have a gold Parlophone copy of it. But what I like about this, and I do this sometimes, is I will find things that people have checked things off here, and then there's a written note here. It says, "To Joe, my forever friend, with biggest first." I have no idea. With love a lot, Paulette, and then something love, and then there's a heart with an arrow. So this was a gift to somebody. And they put X's on most of the songs, except on Bad Boy they put a minus, for whatever reason. I'm attracted to things like this. I mean, it's great to have pristine, perfect copies of things, but I'm kind of attracted to things like this just because of, somebody else owned this. Somebody bought this when it first came, or nearly when it first came out. And then they left their mark, and it's, this was given as a gift to somebody from somebody, and now I've got it. It's just interesting. It doesn't increase the value of it on the market or anything like that, but to me it's kind of interesting to collect these things. And it doesn't bother me that much. Again, would I love to have a perfect, mint copy of it with no markings at all, and it's never been played and all that? Sure, but there's something about collecting things that have, this kind of stuff. I didn't see how much I paid for it. It was $14.99, probably because of all the writing. So, the next on the list here. So yeah, this sort of seems to have gotten removed for whatever reason. I'm putting it back in, which is why there's 14. Next one is the White Album. Um, the White Album is a legendary album. It's classic. There's no denying that. This is number 01108 or 485, so 110,485. And I think I've showed this one off before, but it's a promo. Look. So the vinyl and all the pieces are there. The vinyl's in great shape. But you know, I have an odd relationship with the White Album. I remember it fondly when it came out. People were listening to it, and then throughout the 70s, and it's got a lot of good sides to it, and then there's some tracks that you always jumped over, like Revolution 9, until one day you decide to listen to Revolution 9 with your headphones on all the way through, and it's like, this is interesting. And it is. A lot of people classify this as psychedelic. Taken as a whole, it is, because of how much craziness there is, all the different tracks. Yeah, it's not a go-to album for me like a lot of people. Some of the sides are a go-to, but not the whole album. And here's probably a shocker to a lot of people. Abbey Road, because we still got about a handful to go. I've lost track of what number, and I'm not going to try to figure it out. I should have had a little list that said what number each one is, but that would be organized. Abbey Road, I really like Abbey Road. I'm kind of tired of some of the songs. Something is an amazing song. I don't need to hear it again. I can play it in my head. Come Together, same thing. Great song. I don't need to hear it again on the vinyl. Playing the whole album out as an entire album, yeah, probably. Because then it's the whole album, side 1 and side 2. What is really interesting to me on this album now is songs like I Want You, She's So Heavy, you know, the real oddball songs that maybe you didn't listen to all the way. I always loved the way that song ended. Listen to it on headphones and you get lost in all this, you know, so the wind comes in at the end and then all of a sudden out of nowhere, just after 8 minutes, it just suddenly cuts off for no reason. What a great way to end a side of an album. So, you know, if I was ranking these in terms of, you know, if they're the best album, this would be up towards the top. We're talking about what I go to and what I like to listen to. And I do like listening to this album, but not as much as some of the other ones I'm going to come to. Because I don't know. I like side 2, Here Comes the Sun, another one, great song. Don't need to hear it again because I can run it through my head. Do I go running out of a store or out of a room when I hear it? No. But it's kind of like Let It Be last night. It just came on while I was eating dinner, and I jumped to the next song because I just heard Let It Be so much, that song, that it wasn't dinner music, really. I had it on shuffle. So, anyway, this guy, kind of middle of the pack for what I like to listen to. So here's the oddity, I think. This guy, whereas, I'll make my point here, whereas this, an official collection of songs, and we didn't say the songs either, did we? I mean, this is an official collection of songs. She Loves You, From Me to You, We Can Work It Out, Help. From We Can Work It Out, my favorite Beatles song, and probably my favorite song of all time. We Can Work It Out, Help, Michelle, Yesterday, I Feel Fine, Yellow Submarine, Can't Buy Me Love, Bad Boy, Day Tripper, Hard Day's Night, Ticket to Ride, Paperback Writer, L.I. Rigby, I Want to Hold Your Hand. That's quite a lineup, and it's fun to listen to those songs because it's like all of Beatlemania wrapped up into one album. This has been kind of shown the door. They said, goodbye, we don't need you anymore, you're no longer part of the family, go away. Hey, guess who's the new stepkid? Yeah, we kicked that other guy out, you can have his bedroom. So, and it makes sense. This is one of those things that Capitol got right. Taking the EP of Magical Mystery Tour and then taking the 6 songs from the 3 singles and putting them together to make an album. So, thumbs up Capitol, yay. And it's been adopted and it's now like canon. It's now part of their official discography, which is great, and I love listening to this album. It's very nostalgic for me. All the songs go together. It's just great. It's like part 2 of Sgt. Pepper. It's a double album if you want to make a double album of that. It's collecting all those songs together. I'm making a mess of this, as usual. Now, again, we're talking about records that I go to all the time. And here we are. Not number 1. We still got 4 more records to go. Still 4 more records to go. This is number 5 for me. Why isn't this number 1 or in the top 3? Again, just like a lot of songs that I've heard a number of times, this album I've heard so many times, I don't need to hear it that much. I love this album. This is for all the reasons that everybody else loves this album. But I don't go to it that often because I just heard it so much. And I know it in and out. And the 50th anniversary release they did of it, the remix, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed all the extras that they released. It's fantastic. It's something I've always wanted. And I had multiple copies of all these. This is not my entire Beatles collection. I have multiple copies of all these. And I've got 2 of these out. They're both original pressings. One of them is the earlier, you can see it here. This guy is the wide spine pressing, and then this is the not wide spine pressing. So, but they both have, that crazy inner sleeve. They're not in perfect shape, but they're in pretty darn good shape, especially the one that's the non-wide spine. But, it's Sgt. Pepper. We all know Sgt. Pepper. I do enjoy listening to it. I really do. And it's number 5 on my list. So the next 2 kind of go together. I can't believe I'm putting this so far up. But this album and the next album capture Beatlemania in 2 albums and 28 songs, but 14 songs on each album. So yeah, this is Miss Margaret R. Naughton's copy of, I won't give away the street, London, Southwest 10, England. I won't give away the address or the street name. And I'm sure she doesn't want to be contacted, but there it is. She put her name right across the parlor phone, and so it's one of those little stickers that have the address and everything on it. But anyway, so this is just, to me, this is Beatlemania right here at number 4, and I'm going to bring up number 3 at the same time with the Beatles. These 2 with the Beatles, followed by Hard Day's Night. When I look in the monitor here, everything's backwards. I hope it doesn't show up to you backwards. I'm going to be very disappointed. If not, just watch this in a mirror and everything will be fine. The Beatles, because it just, this is the UK original, and then America answered back by using most of these songs on Meet the Beatles, which is the album that was the first album on Capitol, and the way majority of the people in the U.S. heard the Beatles was music from this. These 2 are Beatlemania to me, and that's an era of Beatles that I enjoy. I like. Just, it's more positive, more up-tempo, more interesting musically. I love the psychedelic stuff, believe me. But I kind of go back and forth. And right now, I've been in more of a mood to listen to this, which is why I'm so I know I put Please Please Me at the beginning there as my least favorite right now, but that's why I've picked up a copy or 2 of Please Please Me recently, just because it's still a part of that. But still, every time I listen to it, it's just got that dated sound. But this is where it starts to, this is where it starts to head up, forward, onward. So we only got 2 left. And here we go. There's Revolver at number 2. Again, George, I think, referred to Revolver and Sgt. Pepper as being bookends, or could be a double album. yeah, this Sgt. Pepper and Magical Mystery Tour could be triple album. Um, this is probably their most cohesive album of songs that kind of go together, and just it's kind of like the White Album in a way that it has so much variation, so many different styles. You know, I'm not criticizing. I'm not talking about these records in terms of, you know, what they are in terms of their musical merits and all that. It's just personally, these are all my, you know, personal observations, why I like them and why I like them in this order. But the variety that's on here, and the fact that the last song, Tomorrow Never Knows, could easily go right into Sgt. Pepper. It just flows right into it. And oddly enough, Tomorrow Never Knows was the first song they recorded or started working on when they went into the studio to record this album. And it was given another name, Mark V, I think. Now, those initial recordings, I don't know if those initial recordings were what ended up on here. I don't think so. They revisited the song a number of times until they got it just the way they wanted. But the first thing they started recording when they went in to do these sessions was Mark V, which ended up turning out to be Tomorrow Never Knows, which is interesting considering coming off of Rubber Soul, you know, their folk album, doing that. It's kind of like, wow, what a change. This is also the first album that Jeff Emmerich, who just recently passed away, I think it was yesterday or the day before, very sad. I have his book, Here, There, and Everywhere, I think is what it's entitled. And I enjoy that book quite a bit. He's got a lot to say about the recording process and this particular album to speak of, because this was the first Beatles album, and the challenges that he suddenly was posed with, these, you know, the Beatles suddenly asking him to do all this stuff that either hadn't been done before, he didn't know how to do it, and he got to figure it all out. And it's interesting how he talks about how he figured it all out, how he came up with all these crazy ways of making what happened, or what they wanted to have happen. So, Revolver here at number 2. I know that because there's only one record left, and if you've been paying attention, you know that it's this one, and it's specifically the U.S. copy, because it is the U.S. copy that I like. I like the U.S. copy better than the U.K. copy. This is another instance where Capitol got it right. They took some songs off of Help that didn't make it on the U.S. copy of Help because they put, you know, movie music on it, just so they could have some extra songs so they could make another album down the road. But they took a couple of songs that weren't on the American Help album, and then some singles, and then they left some songs off that were on the UK version, and I just think this is a better compiled album, and it's the one that I grew up listening to, and so it's got to be the stereo copy too, because the stereo copy has the false starts for I'm Looking Through You. Anyway, so this is kind of my favorite album. It's to listen to, but also in my head, I really enjoyed listening to this version. The American version. I was so happy when Capitol put out those box sets of the Capitol versions on CD, because it was like, this is, you know, as an abomination as they are, if you grew up in England and many other places around the world, the U.S. versions are the ones I grew up with, and I'm used to hearing. So I'm used to hearing the reverb and the echo and all that. So this is my number 1, and it would always be my favorite over the UK Rubber Soul. Again, if somebody was to put the UK Rubber Soul on a turntable and start playing it, I would not go running out of the room. I just prefer the US version. So there you go, 14 albums, because they included Magical Mystery Tour, and then I want to include a collection of Beatles oldies, because it's an official EMI Parlophone Beatles release, and it should not be ignored as though it isn't there. It was an early hits album, So I say, bring it back, bring it back. I'm bringing it back. Go out and find a copy of it. If you're looking for an early Beatles hits compilation, and I believe there's 7 tracks on each side, that's a good one to get. And it's not just the number ones, it's hits of the time, like Bad Boy is on there. Not a favorite of mine, but okay, it's there. They wanted a rocker on there, I guess. But anyway, this has been fun. It's been very long. It's at 30 minutes. If you stuck around for all this, thanks. If you haven't, I understand 100%. This, again, I'm going to put this at the end. I didn't put the beginning because I didn't want to start off that way because I didn't, want that to be the beginning of my thing here. But I've been seeing, like I said, a number of people recently doing their rankings, and I can't remember people ranked what was the best or what they liked. I guess it's a combination sometimes when you really sit down and think about it. But these are my personal rankings. This is the order. If I was to do this a year from now, I would change things probably based on what I've been listening to and how I'm feeling. I mean, I might be more into the psychedelic than into the Beatlemania. So the Beatlemania might be back, and the psychedelic might be up front in like this 2 and 3 slot. Who knows? But anyway, I've enjoyed it. One person I've been watching, a couple of people I've been watching, but one person I just found and have been watching is Road Trip Rachel. Hello, hi, congratulations on your I think it's 4,685 subscribers. I know you got a contest going. I did mention my favorite song, which was "We Can Work It Out" by the Beatles. I should have had the 45 here. I have it in multiple versions. Do not include me in your filthy, disgusting contest. No, I just, I'm good. I've been the lucky recipient of 1, maybe 2 contest things, and that's enough for one person. So it's kind of fun to. I'll post something on the reply thing and pointing you to this video, and if you've got 35 minutes to 32 minutes and 24 seconds of your life to give up for this, congratulations. You're young. You'll make it up, I'm sure. But this has been fun. Again, maybe a year from now I'll do this again. Maybe not. And maybe you'll watch it again. Maybe not. But thank you very much for sticking around and watching this. If you jumped around, thanks for jumping around. And I will be seeing you folks later. I'm going to try to do some more videos. Instead of one every 6 months, I'm going to try to do some more videos a little more frequently. And I was gonna do something. Maybe I'll save it for another video. Thanks again. Hope everybody's doing well. Stay well, and I will see you soon. Bye.